By this point in the seedling Arks city, not everything was in place. Although on this day, on day 5, that would be remedied. Because a hothouse was under construction. And not a moment too soon. It was worth diverting some of the engineers, at least to the leader of the seedling Arks city, temporarily, to complete the construction of the hothouse. Along with delaying the construction of a second sawmill to the northeast. On the way to the seedling Arks city was another automaton. One that was greatly needed. Yes, even though diverting engineers from coal gathering and research was not that good an idea. On the other hand, it would be a good idea because it meant food. Oh yes, and as for the supplies, more were found along with the needed factory plans, so it was a good time to recall those scouts to the seedling Arks city, or rather back to it, which gave the people hope, and desperately needed as well. Food situation was starting to improve, although there was still the problem of coal. More of it was being used, but at least the steelworks could be built to remedy the lack of steel. And since there was no need for humans to work there, there was no need for a steam hub immediately at the workplace. Although an automaton working there would need to go to the nearest steam hub to refuel anyway. It just needed to be somewhere existing. since the temperature was lowering within a couple of days, it was a good thing that the heaters were researched, as the one without a steam hub, the sealing arc I mean, didn't have a steam hub nearby. Didn't really need one at that point. Although what was needed was more steel. So that other things could be researched. Other things such as, well, a coal mine. Although another group of scouts could be sent into the Arctic wilderness. That was made even harsher due to, well, events that we have already been through. And was going on around the same time as us. Although there might have been just a few days between us, in terms of, how can I put it, activity. Well, there was certainly already operational around there before we were. Then we have the next law to sign. Rather, they did. And apparently, they signed a law on soup. Clearly these people from, well, yes, they were desperate. Deprivation can do that to some people. Oh yes. And as for who will get to the sealing Ark City first, well, first one and then the other would arrive. One carrying vital supplies and vital plans, the other providing an additional workforce. And at this point, the automaton had enough steel gathered to have the coal mine researched. Again, not a moment too soon. because we were running out, or rather they were running out. I'm getting too invested in what I'm reading here. While sifting through, and then speaking to this. Well, the next day would be when the coal supply would be expanded. And more people getting sick. Thankfully, the medical facilities at this point were adequate. If they needed to be expanded, they would be expanded. Well, I'll tell you if and when that happens. I haven't got to that part of the records yet. The reports from scouts that have sought out other settlements. Others that might have somehow survived what we had. Well, we know how it ended for Winterhome and Tesla City. That didn't mean it would end that way for the others. The vital supplies were delivered, and the automaton was not far behind them. The scout was sent back into the frozen wastes. More needed to be uncovered. More steam cores were needed. With so few, resources needed to be gathered by a more automated workforce.
Brace yourselves, cold is coming.
On this day, food was no longer the issue. Coal was. Which is why the coal mine was researched, so that problem could be remedied before the coal piles ran out. Early on day 6, the second automaton arrived at the sealing Arks city and was ready for work. Although the question was, what work to assign? Although those gathering from the wood piles would eventually be reassigned to one of the sawmills. Because they would run out as well. At this point, the leader of the sealing Arks city decided it was time to build the factory in preparation for making more automatons. One right next to the hothouse. And considering that supplies were more plentiful at this point, it was a good time to build a pub as well. It was best to make good on that promise. He understood that much. Much as he understood that it'd be a good time to have more coal gathered in order for the people to not freeze to death. And it appeared that there was enough for at least 2 of each. And one of the engineers wanted to do some research on an automaton to make them more efficient. Although that would mean that automaton wouldn't be able to work for a full day, so it was a risk, but the leader of the seedling Arks city decided it was worth the risk and worth the lost time as well. As for the coal mine research, that had been completed, and the ability to work on greater projects was undertaken. Meanwhile, a coal mine was constructed along with a pathway leading to it. As for the next law to be signed, a care house, or, well, extra rations for the ill or sick, whatever you want to call them, that's what he chose. Something that would be useful when there are enough rations to spare. The people of that city required a minimum of 45 rations. Well, as long as the scouts were outside. The automaton was refueling, so that there'd be enough to construct what connects the coal mine to the generator.
Night is coming. Put down your tools.
As for the wood piles to the northeast, they were running out. So it would be soon time for them to be reassigned to the sawmills. Well, one of them anyway. It would also require quite a few resources to construct a single automaton. Although freeing up certain workplaces to allow the human population to be assigned to different parts of the city. That wouldn't really be something an automaton would need to. Well, the human population could be working in the more heated parts of the seedling Ark City, while the automatons could work in the colder parts. And once again, this leader delivered on the promises. Well, it's best not to ignore, how can I put it, public opinion. Otherwise, the public will tear you apart. And I'm sorry if I sound rude, but I can't really think of a polite way of putting that. Although thankfully at this point, the amount of coal coming in was increasing at a faster rate than it's going out. And a surplus was desperately needed. And not just for the automaton, but also considering that it was about to get colder. Although just for one day. And when you don't know when it's going to end, that is actually a relief under these circumstances. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's later. Approaching is a decrease in temperature. And it wouldn't be lowering for a couple of days. At least according to the weather projection. What else was there? Oh yes, there was that. Right. Yes, the scouts. That was what I was thinking of. A disused mine had coal and steel. The scouts then went south. Or rather what appeared to be south. The details were a bit light, so let's just call it that. It turned out to be a different direction. I can record a revised edition. Well, it would help with future transcribing. The situation was improving, although it was still no time to relax. As we know by now, and have been through, the situation can change rather quickly.